Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. Today I am going to create these beautiful stenciled popsicles and share some stenciling and stamping techniques along the way. If you wait till the end, you'll see my very favorite. This is all part of the Counterfeit Kit Challenge group where I'm on the design team, and this project is called Forgery on the 4th, where we take an existing product out in the world and recreate it, or as we say, forge it. And as you saw from those pictures, I was inspired by some Jen Hadfield Flower Child stickers. So, despite it no longer being the 4th, let's dive in. All right, here are my supplies. This project is largely based on this Concord and 9th popsicle stencil, and I will link you up to this product down below. And I just want to say a quick word that when you use my shopping links, I earn a very small commission, and it doesn't cost you anything extra, and I really appreciate it because it does help me keep supplies coming into my craft space so I can keep bringing you crafty videos. So this is a stencil and die set, which you will see later, and I will put those links down below. Now, if you don't have this stencil, you can create your own. So I would start by drawing a square, and then at the top of that square, kind of creating an arc, and then cut it out and create your own stencil. So as I was chatting about that, I showed you the Concord and 9th ink colors that I'm going to be possibly using. I am going to test them out here first to kind of narrow down my palette so that it matches my counterfeit kit for this month, which if you haven't seen my kit build, I will link you up to that up in the corner and in the show notes so that you can check that out. And then we are going to get to stenciling. There are lots and lots of ways to do stenciling, and I have masked off my popsicle here with some of this masking tape from scrapbook.com. I will link that up as well. And if you do a softer version of stenciling, you won't get a hard line where that masking tape is. And if you do, I did zoom in here for you so you can see it a little bit better, but you can see kind of that hard edge that I got with that blue from that masking paper. So I will show you the other version in a little bit where you have softer lines. In the meantime, I am switching up my colors here and getting another row of color, because this reminds me, what were they called? Those popsicles that you could get from the ice cream truck. Were they like rocket pops or something like that? That's what I want to say. I'm definitely using the color palette from my kit. So I have, instead of, I think those were red, white, and blue, I've got blue, this kind of dusty pink, and a rich yellow. Now my camera does show yellows a little more neon-y green than I like, but it really is a nice rich yellow. So there we go. I have stenciled several versions of this one popsicle, and as you can see, that last one, you don't have the hard line, so you can go however you want with this. If you're using the masking tape, you just don't want to stencil right up to the edge of the tape. You kind of want to feather it out really well towards that tape, or like I'm doing here, don't even use the tape at all. Just keep a light hand towards the center where those colors are gonna blend. And then at several points, you will see me wiping down my stencil, and I'm doing that in between colors so that the color that I'm stenciling stays true, because your brush will pick up color off the edge of the plastic stencil. All right, I've done another color, but here I am color mixing. So I've done kind of my teal color as the base, and then I'm putting that yellow over the top to get a limey green. And this is a great way when you're testing out your colors, layer up colors together and see what you can come up with. All right, so I've done a couple more popsicles here. We've got that limey green and the kind of teal and yellow, as well as the ones I did before. I've got a pink, and I overlaid it with a little bit of blue to get more of a purpley color. And this one is going to be my blackberry popsicle. Now this pattern on the stencil does come in the Concord and 9th pack, but we will be using some other stencils as well in a moment. But I'm calling this one Blackberry. I don't know what the stencil design is intended to be necessarily, but as soon as I got these dark polka dots onto my popsicle, it completely reminded me of Blackberry. So I had to add a little bit more ink around those polka dots to give it more of a berry look. And that is my blackberry stencil. All right, I'm going to go back to that lime color that I created, and I'm going to use the citrus stencil here, which the first thing I think of is limes. And I am going to use the exact same inks, and I'm just going to add a heavier layer of ink on top of the existing ink. And that's the nice thing about inks, again, because they can layer on top of each other. You can get darker shades. And there I did not go quite as heavy as I wanted, so I'm going to go even heavier with these colors. I am layering that teal color with the yellow color again to deepen up my limey color. And with that deepened up to what I want it to be, I will show you the reveal here. And I am just so pleased with how that came out. It is super pretty and I love it. Now, just to keep it real, this next technique did not work out, where I was trying a stenciled ghosting technique where you use water through the stencil instead of inks. And on top of, your previous water reactive inks, which is most dye-based inks on the market, you can get the stencil pattern to create this ghosted outline look. But too much water meant too much bleeding of that pattern. So in order to correct all that bleed out, I am just going to spritz my popsicles with water on purpose to get this speckly look. And I like this because it kind of makes the popsicles glisten or look like they're melting a little bit in the summer sun. And you saw a couple different versions of that water reactive technique. All right, we are moving on to some stamping, and I'm going to use this tiny strawberry from this Lawn Fawn set. I'm going to stamp it over my base yellow color. And here's a little tip. If you want to get only part of your stamp, you can ink it carefully and then use a Q-tip to clean off the area of ink you don't want on there. And now I have a strawberry lemonade popsicle. I'm going to add just a tad bit more pink around the edges to give it that very pink lemonade feel, and a spritz of water will finish that one off. And after I do the next technique, I have a bonus for you, so make sure you watch all the way to the end. All right, here is my favorite technique. So I started off by stenciling those limes in much the same way as I did before. And before removing the stencil, I am adding a layer of embossing ink, directly smushing it over the color. Be sure to clean your stencil before you put this embossing ink on. And then I'm going to emboss it with clear embossing powder, get that heated up, and once I bring it back and realign my stencil, I can add another color into this stencil. And what's nice about this is pink layered on top of green normally would give you brown, but that embossing powder resists the pink so that it will just fill in the gaps of my popsicle. And now I have a lime punch popsicle. And now I went ahead and filmed a bonus because I had this idea after I had stopped filming, which was to use this burst stencil from Vicky Bouton to create a 4th of July inspired popsicle. So I am going to use my blending brushes with the ink that is already existing on the bristles. I'm not going to re-ink these at all. The one mistake I did make was I didn't clean my stencil in between colors. So towards the end of my project, the colors are starting to get muddied up. But I thought the idea of this project was good enough and the colors were okay that I would leave it as is and show you that even sometimes I make mistakes. And while I could have very well have redone this or been frustrated or thrown it away, I decided to take a deep breath, let it go, and let it be what it is and use it anyway. And I'm curious as I finish the stenciling up if you've ever done this where you put 2 stencils from different manufacturers together into one project. So to finish this off, I want to give it an icy feel because it is a popsicle. So I am going to emboss the whole entire thing with that embossing powder like we've done before. And it came out so good. And to clean embossing powder off of stencils, you can use soap and water at the sink, or you can use a stamp cleaner and rinse that off with a spray of water at the end. All right, I'm just going to quickly finish these off with a die. I will cut out all the popsicles, and I'm cutting the sticks out of wood grain paper and just a little bit of glue, and that finishes off all of these lovely popsicles, and they are super sweet, pun totally intended. I will leave you with a few close-ups of these crafty items, and if you want more ideas on how to create your own products to go with your scrapbooking kit or other supplies, go ahead and check out the Counterfeit Kit blog, and I will link you up to our current Forgery on the 4th project so you can check those out. Until next time, have an artful day.